Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to talk about Liam Lawson, who was praised by Red Bull, Mercedes, which has serious problems with its upgrades. The 2026 car is getting faster with the final adjustments, and Ferrari, which intends to improve the car by Qatar. Subscribe and like the video and let's go. Liam Lawson revealed that he has been well praised by the Red Bull leadership. He told Sky F1 that Christian Horner and Helmut Marko made a point of praising the young driver's performance after the race. But at the same time, he knows that this is already the expectation that the bosses have of him, and he also puts this pressure on himself. Lawson says that he knows that these races will be crucial for him in the hope of getting a seat for next year. He's been leading everything from weekend to weekend, and the goal is also to score points in every race. He also says that it is natural for Red Bull to put pressure on its drivers, and he is aware of the pressure and expectations that are placed on him. It has been like this since he was 16 years old. So, Liam Lawson, who did indeed put in a great performance, is in with the possibility of having a seat at Red Bull next year, in this case, in place of Perez. This performance was his calling card in this new phase. He has raced other times, but this calling card was very strong this time. And Red Bull is certainly keeping an eye on him to see if they can put the young driver in place of Perez, who has not delivered what was expected. So let's see. Lawson, for now, has a very positive balance, and let's hope that we continue to have good performances. We want an increasingly advanced grid. I want to know your opinion. Would you already put him in place of Perez next year, or would you prefer to wait a little longer to evaluate? Leave your opinion in the comments. Speaking of assessment, Mercedes is going through a serious problem. The team, which has had its ups and downs during the season, had that excellent end to the first half, winning 3 races, getting on the podium, competing. Then it started having problems again. Toto Wolff said, and you can check it in the description, the sources are always in the description, that they need to find out why the car was by far faster on Friday and then suddenly started having a lot of problems with the pace on Saturday. They don't have an explanation for this and will delve deeper into the data to find out what factors and influences played a role. He also says that it is true that the aerodynamics still do not harmonize with the mechanical platform, citing Mercedes' upgrade issues. And that is why they will continue with the current upgrade, because they need data. Basically, they need to understand what is happening with the car. But it doesn't stop there. Mercedes is also having serious problems with the upgrade that was done on Russell's car for the weekend, this time in Austin. He crashed, right? We remember that Russell crashed badly. He says that they won't have Russell's complete package for the next Grand Prix in Mexico. The lower part of the body will have to go back to the UK, and will only be ready for the Brazilian GP. Hamilton, on the other hand, will have the complete package. He has the complete car. He just went into the gravel there. There was no damage, nothing major. And now we'll see how to approach the next weekend in the best possible way. So, Russell's crash caused a big headache. They lost Russell's upgrade. It will have to be redone. And Hamilton? You basically couldn't get the data from the weekend, because you ran fast in the sprint. You did the qualifying in which the car fluctuated a lot compared to Friday. And on Sunday, you don't have any data because Hamilton retired right at the beginning. So, it's still in the dark. It's as if Mercedes didn't have the weekend, basically. This is very complicated. It's quite complex. The development of the teams has been very poor. Toto Wolff himself also mentions in the article that McLaren, Ferrari and Red Bull have already gone through ups and downs in these regulations. The difference is that Mercedes is more consistent in these ups and downs. As I said in the first part of the season, or rather, at the very end of the first part of the season, before the holidays, Mercedes was flying, winning races, competing at the front. Then, it simply disappeared. And then we're left with that, right? Wow, will it happen now? Will it not? And in the end it didn't. Let's see what happens at the Mexican Grand Prix. Now talking about 2026, according to what is being reported, the small changes in aerodynamics, and the downforce points that were released recently, a few weeks ago, have already made it possible, in the simulations, for this 2026 car to reduce its deficit, which was previously 40% in performance compared to the current cars, to 15%. In other words, a considerable gain, which is being said to be around 2 seconds. The car would have gained 2 seconds just with regulation updates. You must remember that the 2026 regulations came out. We made a video here on the channel. The regulations are complete crap. The teams complained, and there is a whole deadline issue, because everything has to be finalized by January 1st for people to start developing the 2026 car. And apparently, the small changes in downforce, giving a little more downforce points, had an effect. In fact, I will leave an article there in the description of Automotor eSport, where they explain several changes that are taking place for 2026, the ones we were already talking about. They also talk about the 50 downforce points, which are responsible for those 2 seconds we mentioned now. It is also being said that the 2026 car will be better at chasing than the 2022 car. It will be a car that will suffer less from dirty air, but we will have to wait and see in practice, because in 2022, in the middle of the season, the teams started having problems, and the cars got much worse in this regard. Still, let's hope that it is a good regulation, but on paper, it is a real piece of crap. Last but not least, let's go with Ferrari. The team, which is coming off a win, an impressive win throughout the weekend, showing strength in Austin, is now talking about updates and performance itself. The boss, Frederick Vasseur, said that if they find something useful to add to the car, yes, they will. But right now, they don't want to hear about it until Qatar. That's right, they didn't have any updates in Austin, and they're going to keep it that way until Qatar. Why? Because Ferrari has had this approach all year. Well, not all year, right? Let's go. They started the year with this approach, saying, "No, we're going to understand the package first, develop it, and then update it." The problem is that when they started updating, they got carried away, saying they were going to take on Red Bull and so on, because at the time, Red Bull was still way ahead of everyone else, and so they started releasing update after update, and it didn't work. Now they've gone back to this mentality of, let's first understand the package, develop what we have today, and then update the car. Especially because there have been ups and downs between the teams. Vasseur remembers that the improvements in the cars and in the performance itself have been marginal, in the end. He ended up revealing a little secret to us, which is the following. In fact, Ferrari did have updates for the United States Grand Prix, but they are non-aerodynamic updates. They do not change the external shapes of the components, so they do not need to be declared. How interesting is that? And he even made a joke, saying, "You'll have to find out and everything." So, it's something that we couldn't visually see here, and no journalist was able to say exactly what Ferrari updated, but it's something that doesn't need to be included in that FIA document. So let's see. Let's see what Ferrari does. If Ferrari arrives to compete, to fight in these last races, it will be really cool. The more people up front, the better. And I want to know your opinion and expectations for Ferrari before the end of the season. Don't forget to subscribe, activate the bell so you don't miss anything, and join our channel of cuts. A big hug and see you in the next video.